go. All right. Yeah, I know. Hey, let me tell you something.
Where are you from?
Greece is the best, man. Greece is the best. I'm telling you. Hey, let me tell you. Robert Halford is the best motherfucking singer around.
Hello and welcome to Good Art the Podcast. This is your host, Kay Gerard. This is episode number 9. And this episode features an interview with Jeff Krulik and John Heyn, the creators and the minds behind Heavy Metal Parking Lot. It's sort of an anthropological look into what it's like to tailgate and headbang in a parking lot in Maryland in the 80s. This is a great interview. I hope you enjoy it.
I just for the record, I'm holding my iPhone in my hand. I'm sitting on a bed. I'm in a room with the door closed.
Great. Okay. All right.
All right, guys.
I think we're good to go. Good Lord.
Yeah. So I want to start out by I imagine that anyone who listens to this is probably going to have some measure of understanding of what Heavy Metal Parking Lot is. But if one or both of you could sort of break it down for us and the listeners, I think that would be a great place to start.
Sure. We can toss a coin. Anyway, this is what, John?
Why don't you have a jab at it and I'll pick up.
Oh, thanks.
I'll do it. I'll start.
It's fine. I'll do it. And this is Jeff. I'm Jeff Krulik, and the other voice is John Heyn. And we're the guys who made Heavy Metal Parking Lot. Yes, we are. And we made that, John just reminded me, I forget now.
34 years ago.
34 years ago. Yeah, we made this film, this short video documentary in 1986. And it's a documentary that is, it takes place in the parking lot of a concert arena in Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C., the Maryland suburbs. That was where all the concerts took place, as well as sporting events. It was called the Capitol Center. And on this particular night, Judas Priest were appearing with Dokken opening. It was May 31st, 1986. And John and I were aspiring documentary filmmakers. And I was working for a public access studio. And I had access to camera gear. And John had this idea, let's go do this. And I just was like, great. Sounded like a cool idea. And it was as simple as that. We just drove into this arena, paid our admission like any other concert goer, although we weren't planning to go to the concert. In fact, we weren't even necessarily metalheads. We were familiar with Judas Priest and the music that you might have heard, that were that was getting some airplay on MTV or what have you. But we were just real curious, and we knew about Headbangers Ball was popular. You really knew that this music was filling arenas, even if it wasn't popular on the radio. The culture was something you were aware of. And so John and I were led to go essentially document it, and without any game plan, without any agenda, just with camera gear from my studio. We went in as patrons, paid our admission to the parking lot, and I guess you could say the rest is history.
Yeah, what we did, we eventually ended up, Heavy Metal Parking Lot is a short film. It's a very short film. It's only 16 minutes long. And it comprises of man in the street interviews, or actually, in this case, it was metalheads in the parking lot interviews. It's just a string of interviews with metalheads, concert goers, Judas Priest fans who were really amped up for the concert. And we rolled our camera and got some great interviews with
and
people.
It's more, you don't really get a sustained interview with anybody. You mainly just get sound bites. I mean, if you're on camera for, 15 seconds, you're lucky. Some people are on camera for a minute, maybe more. But, and Kenneth, this video we made, we couldn't, way back when. I mean, to think that we're still talking about it now, 34 years later, is incredible, because it was nothing that we ever could have imagined, because it just took off through tape trading. That's the key part to this, is that it was through grassroots tape to tape trading of people, because we never sold it commercially. We never got it on any kind of television outside of maybe a random public access on a rogue station here or there. I never showed it on my the station I was working at. I didn't want to risk, getting any unwanted attention, because it is a little raw at times. So but like I said earlier, we were aspiring documentary filmmakers, so we wanted this to be some ticket to something. But it kind of wasn't to be, due to a variety of circumstances at the time in the late 80s and up very early 90s, and then we kind of stopped screening it. But the thing is, the reason we're talking about it now is because it took off through tape to tape, viral video trading, and way before the advent of YouTube and online anything. I mean, way before the internet as we know it today. So that's kind of a key part to the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys had you slowly built an underground following from, the community that is tape traders.
Right, and we weren't a part of that. We didn't really know anybody. We weren't in that. It wasn't like we had any kind of, design that participated with that. This whole thing was happening without our involvement.
So we certainly, we made VHS copies when people asked for a copy, and we gave them out for free, basically.
Yeah, but how many of those do you think we
But
made?
yeah, not that many really, to ultimately reach the cult notoriety that it did and reach a nationwide audience and even beyond. We really had no idea. It was kind of like planting one seed, and then something sprouts from that, and then more seeds take off from there, and that is the nature of tape trading and tape duplication and bootlegging of videos and also audio cassettes back in the day. But it was really just a grassroots movement way beyond what we could have imagined. We never really initiated anything like that, weren't really particularly aware of it, and we had no control or acknowledgement of anything that's was happening with it, reaching a wider audience than we thought, albeit an underground audience. Really, it got some occasional press and small write-ups and things like Spin Magazine and
exactly
other publications, and maybe tiny little mentions on NTV News or something like that.
That's not true, John. That never happened back then. That happened after we started I mean, you're talking about, well, it is early on. You're right. But it was early on after we kind of got hip to the fact that this is out there. Because
you're right. I guess
because we stopped screening it in 1990. If you can imagine that, we basically said, "That's it. We can't make our friends watch this anymore."
And by screening, we mean locally to our friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Local living rooms, occasional theater showings locally, or nightclubs, wherever we can show it. College classroom, whoever.
And then in 1994 is kind of when things started to change. So really, just 4 years later is when we became aware that this had become somewhat of a tape trading,
underground cult phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Is that when
and
you
the
guys,
way we
was that because of Mondo Video? Or at
Absolutely.
least in part? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it was Mondo Video for sure, but they weren't. They clearly had a tremendous role and influence in this. I mean, but they were. I'd say they were they were great. It was Colonel Rob, the late Colonel Rob, Schaffner, he was really instrumental, and everybody that circulated around that store, Mondo Video in Los Angeles, they were kind of just hyping it to everybody, so to speak. And but they had gotten a bootleg copy, and so other people were still trading it was all dubbing tapes to whoever wanted them, but it just, we've connected the dots to a point, but there's certain things we're just never gonna know for sure. Mm-hmm. But that was in 1994. I mean, John, why don't you explain what happened?
Yeah, sure. That was sort of a breakthrough year because Mondo Video, of course, was a cult video store based in Silver Lake section of LA, and it was, at that point, 94, we found out we had a West Coast following. And
well, explain what happened.
Yeah, well, certainly. Well, I got a phone call out of the blue in 1994 from Sofia Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, and she was a young, aspiring filmmaker, film producer, and TV show producer at the time, and actress, of course, Godfather Part 3. But she called me, just finding my name in the White Pages directory. This is, once again, pre-internet days. And she called me up and said, "Hi, are you John Heyn, the guy who made, filmmaker of Heavy Metal Parking Lot?" And I said, "Yeah, who is this?" And I recognized her name because I'm a film buff myself. And so anyway, she went on to say how she was discovered Heavy Metal Parking Lot and via Mondo Video, I believe, and was a big fan of it, huge fan of it. In fact, so much that she wanted to use part of it in a pilot comedy TV series she was producing called High Octane. So I said, well, that's, I was kind of blown away from that conversation. Of course, just to even, for us, just to find out someone else beyond the East Coast where we're based, and beyond Washington, D.C., had found out about it and taken interest in it. So, and then someone of that, caliber, that celebrity, really blew me away. So we got the lowdown from her about its genesis of how it had become a popular rental item, essentially just a rental VHS cassette from a video store in LA. And nonetheless, I was, we said she could use it in her show. She didn't have any licensing money to offer us or anything, but I said, no, we said, what the heck? Let's just go for it. This is great exposure. And so from there, that just kind of lit a little bit of a interest and fire underneath us that we had a following on the West Coast. And we got in touch with Mondo Video. They had kind of explained to us some of the, film intelligentsia and musical cognoscenti who had rented the video and dug it, according to them. They used to have a list compiled of who that was, but it was everyone from Belinda Carlisle, the Go-Go's, to Hollywood movie director Paul Mazursky and beyond.
That's the only person we can remember is Paul Mazursky.
I mean, but later on we found out there were other, Hollywood, movie stars who liked it, and directors that we admired.
We never heard from anybody personally, but
no,
this
never
was all
personally. This
secondhand.
is all secondhand. Everything from Ed Norton to Jack Black to Spike Jones. And
we did have some correspondence with Spike Jones, though, so that was cool.
Yes. Yeah.
He's from Bethesda. He's from the Maryland suburbs,
which is where we're
interesting.
From.
Yeah.
And then I guess, Jeff, around the same time, we also found out that farther up the West Coast, it had a following amongst Nirvana, basically. It ended up on Nirvana.
It was in tandem with in fact, no, it was before. That was when they were touring in the early 90s. I mean, that Mondo is the one that reached out. Sofia Coppola rented it at Mondo, and so Mondo had a bootleg copy, but there was also a bootleg copy on the Nirvana tour in 92 or whenever they were kind of breaking wide, if you will. In 92, 93. And when did Kurt
Yeah,
die?
actually, he passed away in the early 90s, probably. 95.
So it was early 90s. It was the year punk broke. I mean, they made a movie called that. It was like 92, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I believe he killed himself in 94.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then, and that's the year that Sofia Coppola reached out to us, and that kind of started the ball rolling, where John and I were like, what's going on here? And we're not dummies. We decided to at least, dust it off and start to screen it again. And then also that kind of put the gears in motion to coming up with sequel ideas and
franchise it. Yeah.
Further exactly.
So
nonetheless, there was still no, distribution deal to be had. We didn't look. We weren't offered one. We didn't look for one. No way to really market it via VHS. Find a distributor. We didn't even really bother self-distributing it at that point. Even though we discovered there was a following for it, but I don't know. There was just no. It wasn't an easy thing to accomplish at that point. This is just everything kind of got a lot easier once the internet came along, as far as marketing it.
Sure.
Even selling, physical media, even selling copies of it.
Right.
Selling VHS. I'd say, we started selling VHS around 98 because we could put up a website around 98.
Right. That's it. Exactly.
And then eventually a DVD came out around 2005. So, and of course I'm sure there were still bootleg copies being made here and there and everywhere. I used to say if I had a nickel for every bootleg copy that was out there.
I'm sure that's not fun to dwell on.
You'd have enough to pay the mortgage 1 month.
Right. Basically. Yeah, probably so. So anyway, by mid 90s, with the newfound interest in this began. We got going on a sequel. Their Heavy Metal Parking Lot came up with something called Neil Diamond Parking Lot.
Oh, that was
another parking lot video, and that was 180 degrees diametrically opposed to the approach for Heavy Metal Parking Lot, for at least the theme of heavy. Well, actually, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's just a different concert, a different rock star.
Right.
Different musician, a different crowd, basically.
That was my
same
sort
approach.
of takeaway from consuming, I would say, the majority of your parking lot video or your parking lot series is that it's odd how similar. It's like you boil it down. Everyone is just a strange human being, and you put them in front of a camera in sort of an odd place. Everyone is going to be weird, whether they're drunk or not. So I find it interesting in that way, whether it's Neil Diamond fans or I think for your TV series, I saw it was like Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake one, and they're equally as strange as the Motorhead fans.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
It's not strange. These people just show their idiosyncrasies.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Good
right.
point, John. You're
Yeah.
right.
They get comfortable.
Strange. It's very, exactly. They're not strange. It's all about fandom, and I think everybody has this gene in them. It's just you're a fan of something, and it just kind of manifests itself.
It's an obsessiveness, and it's pretty archetypal, really, across all elements, many elements of music fans, and then it goes beyond that too.
Did you ever hear from Judas Priest, or do you know if they ever saw it?
First question is no. Second question is yes. We have heard. We've never heard from them, which is fine, only because we did kind of borrow their music.
That was another question I had, was if you ever got a cease and desist from them or a copyright thing from them.
this interview's over. No, I'm kidding. We haven't had any. We've been fortunate to, not have anything like that.
Yeah.
It's funny when we screened at South by. We launched our 30th anniversary year 4 years ago now, in 2016. We had an outdoor screening we did at the South by Southwest Austin, the film festival in Austin, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, and we got to have a panel. John and I really, it was cool to kick off our year there, and we met a guy who worked in the record company that was Judas Priest's management or label or whoever at the time, and he told us they were actually having meetings about deciding, or in a meeting they were trying to decide whether to kind of go after us legally. Huh. And at that point, the thing, it had been out for so long. I mean, the title's pretty much, it's synonymous in many ways with the band.
Right.
And and the band, it's kind of small potatoes in a way.
Yeah, I feel like we've been flying under the radar screen the whole time.
Well, and by that, exactly. And by the time they were having this discussion, they were like, they just decided not to do it. And thankfully for us, because the thing is, the band gets asked about it. I mean, they are literally in more interviews than I can count. If any kind of sustained interview, somebody will ask them about it, and they're all very cordial on camera or in any interview. They say that, those are our fans, that's right. A great representation of our fans, and I wonder what they're doing now, those people, and we can send you. There was even on Headbangers Ball, they actually were asked that on camera. You can look it up. Look up Headbangers Ball on YouTube, and Judas Priest, and there's an interview. I forget, Matt, who was one of the hosts of that show, he asked them, and they, on camera, they're talking about it.
It's just an easy question for journalists to ask the band. It's a touchstone for
right.
a lot of people.
Right.
The band, was never, probably to go look into it and find it themselves. They were never presented with it.
Well, that's not entirely true, but we don't have to go down that.
We do have a good story about that. We attempted to present it to the band as early as 1988.
John, 2 years after we made it.
I got it. Yeah, 2 years after we made it. Just 2 years after we made it. The band came back to town on tour. Same concert arena, big show. We didn't go out there with a video camera, but we went to the concert arena with a VHS tape, and we got ourselves made arrangements ahead of time, got ourselves backstage passes.
We made a PAL VHS tape even for British
format.
You got the right region.
Making up a PAL tape.
Well, anyway, what happened was we ended up getting an audience with the tour manager and the accountant, who were very cynical business people. Just all they were concerned about was the bootleg T-shirts that were being worn by people in the audience. But, we kind of wanted to screen it on the big telescreen, but that got scotched by the people running. And it just, we left tapes with them. And, that was the extent of it.
We saw the band in the dressing room. They wouldn't come out to meet us or anything.
Nor would anybody try to introduce us. So I guess we were lucky to have backstage passes. The most vivid memory I have is trying to, line up for a plate of dinner, and they said no. And we got to see the show, which was, it was cool. It was fun running around with passes, but we never, again, this was just 2 years after we made it, so it wasn't like we had a whole big kind of game plan, and certainly didn't envision where this was all going to go. But we wound up, basically that got to the band. That was it.
Yeah, we got them a VHS tape, and let's assume they took it back to England with them.
Well, it's more than that, because you got to figure that that's how maybe. We don't know. I mean, you're right. There's no way to prove it. But we did get on their anniversary, their 20th anniversary VHS tape that they released. Right, John?
Right.
Oh,
We never got any personal acknowledgement or contact with the band or their management. We never heard from them. So that's a good thing because we didn't. It wasn't positive or negative. We didn't never got a cease and desist. We never heard anything. So we just, of course, as Jet said, we put the film on mothballs for years, and then we took it out again, and kind of just did our own thing with it. Really.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Kenneth? Yeah. What's that?
Do you have a favorite quote? Were you going to ask me a question, Jeff?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, at the split second I opened my mouth, I think you started to say something. Sorry about that.
I was just asking, do you guys have a favorite quote from the movie? Or one that always cracks you up?
Oh, it can just be something like simple, like Jack Daniels and Coke. What else?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it's, a lot of this stuff winds up becoming, it's hard. It's like asking if you have a favorite character, in it, because I feel like they've all now become family to me.
Right.
I really feel very, almost protective, or I have a great, feeling of affection for everybody on screen at any point.
Yeah.
In any fashion. And so a lot of the quotes are great. I mean, some of them are just, we couldn't have scripted it. And it just was great what people said. And it's been really fun to kind of see things kind of just seep out, into different facets of, the underground or cult zeitgeist. I don't know how to, I don't think we're still mainstream by any stretch, but there's, people that are, it'll seep out there. I don't know. I just,
there's lots of catchphrases in it, and
I've
most
never
recently,
seen such thing in all my life. Anyway, what?
Yeah, one of the more famous characters, and we call them marquee characters because they really stand out and make an impression, is a guy named Zebra. We call him Zebra Man. And he just goes on this, it's one of the, most well-known parts of the movie, the documentary. He goes on a rant. It's, a 45-second rant about heavy metal and how heavy metal's great, how punk rock sucks, and Madonna.
Madonna's a dick.
It's just where
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's wearing his love for heavy metal on his sleeve, on his zebra print sleeve. But it's certainly one of the most well-known scenes in the movie. And in fact, most recently, it was released and got some exposure through the band Steel Panther, who released an LP this past fall. And the title of the LP is Heavy Metal Rules, and the album leads off with what we thought was the first cut was called, the first cut is basically the Zebra Man rant. We thought it was going to be worked into a song as a little intro to the song, but they put the whole entire rant on as track number 1.
Oh, wow.
Of the LP. And it was ended up being a pretty, before the music even starts, you hear this rant, which kind of pretty much, I think the band really appreciated it. It kind of falls into their aesthetic because it's a very over-the-top presentation. And that's the first cut of the Steel Panther's Heavy Metal Rules album. And so that's a nice fitting tribute, I think.
The one that always gets me...
And this is 33 years later, basically, this album came out. So definitely, Heavy Metal Parking Lot has a good amount of staying power.
Yeah, absolutely. It's... I think I heard you guys describe it as anthropological, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that was not our description. You know what? Somebody came up with that. We never thought of it ourselves, but in discussion over the years, it was considered that, and we're like, well, hey, that's sounds cool. That's cool. It's great to have some.
Sure,
something like that.
It gives it some gravitas,
Yeah.
Right.
Makes us feel good.
Right.
As, filmmakers are, trying to create something, create some art or whatever. We'll take that, certainly. Yeah, we have a collection of quotes somewhere. Well, a bunch of them ended up on the box art of the DVD, but it's all on the website. One of the inclinations of our website.
Half and half always gets me.
What did you say?
Half and half always gets me.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know what she means.
I should have asked you what your favorite was.
Yeah, half and half, and Joints Across America is a pretty good one too.
Yeah, there's some great humor in there. These everybody came up with some great material.
In fact, we've gotten to know many of them. A lot of the folks are, again, because of the internet, we've connected with many, and a bunch, including the fella known as the Gram of Dope, who's the one who talks about Joints Across America. And he wrote a book. He actually wrote a memoir of his life.
Really?
Because we only know him for that minute on camera.
Right.
And of course, it got him some, notoriety of, at least among, people and friends. He decided to kind of seize upon that, and I'm real proud of him for doing it, because he wrote a 200-page memoir. His life's, a lot of ups and downs. He's doing fine, and on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. It's called Gram, the First 20, and it's a self-published. Well, it's a published on demand book on Amazon, or a digital or e-download or whatever. But Gram, the First 20.
I'll have to check that out.
So So some of these people, who are in it have become, minor cult celebrities. We've taken some of them to some of the screenings that we've had. We've got to meet them at anniversaries and staged a little mini reunion in 1986.
Sure.
So pretty much most of them wear it as a badge of honor. Almost all of them do, amazingly enough. And a lot of them are still, if not metalheads, they certainly still have an affection to appreciate heavy metal music.
Yeah, I did watch the reunion video, where you guys tracked him.
Yeah, that was the kind of the official one of our official 30-year anniversary events.
Yeah, and you guys found the Zebra Man and tried to show him the video. And it didn't really work.
Yes, he made a rare appearance. He, even though he is kind of probably by far the most well-known and identifiable person from the video, he's one who's always been pretty shy and retiring about the whole experience, and really didn't know about it for a long time. Pretty much we discovered over the years, 15, as the internet came along, and we're talking 15 years and more beyond the time when the video was made, people started discovering it. People who were in it started discovering it. If they didn't find out about it, they had friends, family, or classmates who kind of alerted to that, who saw it and somehow got in touch with them and say, hey, you're in this crazy rock and roll documentary. You got to come check it out. So check it out on heavymetalparkinglot.com or on YouTube, where it's currently featured.
Yeah, the funny thing is people are still finding out about it who were in it, and you got to think what, John?
Oh, well, we call them Heavy Metal Parking Lot alumni. We have a running list of them. And we've had
I'm just saying, now with the advent of the internet and just, everybody having access to everything at all times, it seems unusual that some people, wouldn't have found it sooner. Because we're here, like the guy, those guys that talk about somebody in the hospital.
Right.
this is, they're drunk and, and the guy goes, ow, ow, ow. He apparently is he's a musician, and he just found out about it.
Oh,
I only
really?
knew that because somebody passed it along. He didn't reach out to us. It just got forwarded by somebody else. So.
Yes. Yeah. They come in over the years. It's just amazing. One of these days we'll just swing it. We'll have a giant reunion of everybody.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something?
One of our several pipe dreams to keep Heavy Metal Parking Lot going to its fourth decade. I want to mention, Jeff, that you staged a really big museum quality exhibit at the University of Maryland for the 30th anniversary. It was, curated and was a wonderful presentation of the legend and the lore of Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
Yeah, that was great. It's my alma mater, the University of Maryland, and that's because I orchestrated a donation of my archive, and a lot of it Heavy Metal Parking Lot related, and we cooked up. We had a big exhibit, a museum exhibit, in a small space, but it was a legit exhibit. You can find it online. I don't know if did you see that, Kenneth? Have you?
No, I did not.
That?
I did not find that.
I tell you what, I've got this enormous list of links, and I'd be glad to send it to you.
Oh, please do.
Because it has a whole lot of stuff emanating from the 2016 year that John is talking about, our 30th anniversary. Because I've done some talk. I was for an academic talk at the Popular Culture Association, and so I assembled this list, and I'm happy to forward it. And you can, of course, anybody who contacts you can forward it to them, or you can put any of the links out that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I'd love to check that out.
Hello. So yeah, that's great. Anyway, what was I was talking about the exhibit.
Right. Yeah, it was just a great presentation. Pulled out a lot of the, even the original videotapes that we shot it on, 3/4-inch cassette tapes. The camera that was replica of a camera, facsimile of a camera that we used to videotape it.
Well, anyway, it's all you can see it all on. You can see it all on this online. There's a digital version of it, and you can see what the exhibit looked like. So, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, send me that, and I'll put that link up when I publish the episode, so
cool.
So everyone can check that out.
Great.
Tell me a little bit about Parking Lot TV. That was were both of you guys involved with that, or was that just you, Jeff?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We were. No, me. No, I happened to just put it up. I created a YouTube channel. I put it up because the show was just forgotten. It was on Trio, and they didn't do anything beyond just airing it. And
what years was that?
DVDs came from it. What year was that, John?
2003.
And that's when we did a limited series, 6-part episode of doing parking lots, different kinds of parking lots.
Yeah.
6-part series, not episode. And the 6-part series. But what happened was when I realized this was just going to be, in the dustbin of history if I didn't do what I did, which was I didn't ask for permission, because somebody owns this. I just went ahead and posted them all on a dedicated YouTube channel, which is why I'm connected. But it's it's just Parking Lot TV is the YouTube channel. But John and I both were part of that.
There was a limited run TV series that's you have this YouTube channel, but it was from a limited run TV series that we put together. We partnered with a production company called Radical Media, where they partnered with us. Idea was pitched around 2002, 2003 to the Trio Network and other networks to put on a program basically based around the concept of Heavy Metal Parking Lot, where you go out And someone went out and interviewed fans in a parking lot or in a concert arena or a setting for a variety of different, music, cultural acts around the country, and just take the parking lot approach of interview style approach, guerrilla filmmaking, you want to call it, and put together, episodes of maybe like a 30-minute show would be 3 episodes visiting 3 different concerts, 3 different events, and interviewing the fans. So this program was greenlit and had a whole production team behind it. You were part of it. You, I believe, considered executive producers of it. And,
Exactly. Yeah.
And crews were sent around the country to 2003, 2004 to do all produce these segments.
Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up being, there were about 8 episodes. I think that the program was on a lesser-known cable channel called Trio, which was only available on DirecTV. And then Trio...
Wait a minute. No, it wasn't. It was involved... No, you just... Was it? It was only direct... No, you had to have... It was a cable. It was a digital cable. It was back when all the cable channels were creating these digital networks. It was a digital... And it wasn't a it was, that's what it was called, but you could get it on TV if you were, somebody. He-Man.
I'm completely unfamiliar with Trio.
I'm dealing with all these heavy boxes. I'm going through this shit. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't basic cable.
Yes, you can curse. Yeah. Feel free.
Okay, sorry.
It wasn't basic cable, so it was a little hard. It was a pretty obscure cable channel, and eventually, during the seasons that I was on, the channel kind of folded into Bravo or something. It kind of went away.
But it didn't have as much exposure and circulation as Bravo, and it was owned by NBC, which is owned by Universal. So there's a whole, or vice versa. I don't know who owned what at that point, but it was a major production and a major effort. And so we were attached to a major production company, but they were the ones that kind of ultimately were responsible for delivering it.
Yeah, for the end product, sure.
Right. And they pretty much the majority of any money that was to be made on it.
Yeah, right.
I think.
Right.
They did screen Heavy Metal Parking Lot on Trio, the actual.
And because of that, they had to clear the rights with Judas Priest. So Judas Priest made out. They made money.
Oh, cool.
They actually had to license Judas Priest music, and it wasn't cheap. Judas Priest has made a lot more money off of Heavy Metal Parking Lot than we ever have. Got the licensing fees for the music, and there was at least 6 needle drops of music in there, at least 4 anyway. They did pretty well from what we understand. A lot better than we did.
So I want to ask ask a little bit about some other perhaps more obscure videos, just a couple, but I think they're sort of equally as interesting as Heavy Metal Parking Lot. Can you guys talk a little bit about the King of Porn?
Oh my God. You watched that, huh?
I did, yeah.
And
there's
John,
a funny story. Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah.
To this day.
How long are your podcasts usually?
I usually go about an hour. Are you guys running out of time?
Well, I didn't know. I just gotta. This is the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes. You're opening up here, mainly because the King of Porn, of which I produced and directed, and John was a part of it. We were there. John was there for that, so we're attached to it. But it actually, has had some, again, cult notoriety because of the subject. And the subject is a guy named Ralph Whittington, who sadly passed away this past August.
Oh, geez.
And And I am currently in his garage now, talking to you on the phone.
Okay, so that's why
this is the estate. And I was in his bedroom, and I couldn't stand. It was too stuffy in there, and I had to leave and walk out to now the garage, which is like freezing. But I'm here going through boxes with my other friends inside, who you heard earlier. We're handling his estate. Ralph, I should tell your listeners what this is. I'm sorry. Ralph Whittington was a Library of Congress, a career Library of Congress employee, for whatever 30 plus years in Washington D.C. And he had a hobby of collecting erotica / porn. Only his hobby was of like collecting everything and developing this gigantic collection, which he ended up selling to the Museum of Sex in New York, where he became like one of their celebrities, sound bites. He was
Professor
a big deal.
Emeritus.
Yeah, exactly. But Ralph spent his whole life amassing this pornography collection while at the same time working at the Library of Congress. And Ralph was never shy about discussing it. And so, he was like, it's public relations liability, but they kind of put up with it. And Ralph became a bit of a folk hero, a lot of which I can say my short documentary really helped. And it gave him the moniker King of Porn. And my short is only 6 minutes long, doesn't have anything, graphic in it. It's just Ralph, showing off his collection and talking about it and being just his usual, folksy, homespun, self.
Southern gentleman.
Yeah, and just talking about porn and he lived in this house in the Maryland suburbs, which Ralph sold his collection, but what did he do? He started collecting again, and he ultimately really is, I'll just say it, he was a hoarder. And so we're going through this. At times it was like a hazmat situation, but we've kind of gotten it under control. And my buddies inside, Gary and Rob, we're all just trying to help make sense of this to dispose of it, because the family could just call 1-800-GOT-JUNK, which they're very, they want to honor Ralph's, collection and wishes, because he wanted to get it to this Museum of Erotic Heritage in Las Vegas.
Right.
Another donation, and we're in the process of figuring that out. And just kind of, so anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. And it's King of Porn.
You're trying to find a home for this collection.
Right, and getting stuff ready to
a warm, loving home
to sell it on eBay.
Well, yeah, let's get the word out to listeners.
We're gonna get because also it's not all porn. There's all sorts of stuff here, and also, but I don't want to sell porn myself, but there are people that do, and so we're gonna make sure it gets to the right avenue. And Ralph was funny because he never did, the internet, this was all analog stuff. Everything in this collection is, not digital, not found on the internet. It's all like, it's boxes and boxes of, tapes and DVDs and magazines and books and high heels. He had a thing for women's high heels, but I don't, it's like, it's really, but it's funny you should ask about it. So I can go in and where I can get warm. I can come in here. You can hear Gary and Rob walking. Did you have any specific questions about King of Porn, or I don't know if I answered it?
I kind of just wanted to, get that out and on the heavy metal parking lot fans' radars in case they weren't aware of it. And I guess also maybe serendipity forced me to ask the question too, because you're there right now.
That's so funny. Hey guys, Kenneth, who was doing the interview, he actually just asked me about King of Porn. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
That's great.
Rob and Gary are
So
thrilled.
there you go. It all comes full circle, you know. You know,
and you can find it. Yeah, our works. Yeah, exactly.
Our work stands the test of time, and we're still living with the legacies of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually,
we do
King
have
of Porn and all the videos. So much of it's
lots of
online.
other,
I mean,
several other
all
documentaries.
Online.
Yeah, some other documentaries of you know, of importance and notoriety. Some of them in the musical tradition.
Maybe this one will be
Heavy Metal Picnic.
Yeah, Heavy Metal Picnic. That's technically like the sister or the brother to Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
Yes,
I guess
you could
maybe.
say that.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, of course. It's actually Heavy Metal Picnic was kind of the official sequel of Heavy Metal Parking Lot is Neil Diamond Parking Lot.
Right.
But an attempt to kind of go in another direction with that subject was Heavy Metal Picnic. And that was a documentary about a Maryland field party that took place a whole year before Heavy Metal Parking Lot. And we did it because somebody had a camera, somebody had video of this party where these, local doom metal bands played, including Asylum, and the battery ran out before you could get to Pentagram, who a lot of people have heard of.
Oh,
but,
wow. Pentagram
anyway,
played that show. Dang.
What's that?
I said, dang, I didn't realize that Pentagram played that show. They're pretty.
Pentagram was there. We didn't get them on. They didn't get them on tape. Have you seen Heavy Metal Picnic?
I have. Yeah.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, because I was just going to say I'd be glad to send it to you.
Yeah, that one's.
In fact,
that's. I don't think that one's on YouTube, right?
No, it's not.
You guys got
Heavy
that
Metal
one for
Picnic's
sale.
Not on YouTube, but I can send you a link for people. The found footage people, the Found Footage Festival, they actually sell a digital download of it.
Oh, cool.
So, because we did make DVDs of that too. Actually, I have a website. You can get a DVD for anybody who might still have a DVD player. So, we can get you all sorts of links. We can bring all your
We'll
listeners
hook you up with the links, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll definitely put those all up when I publish the episode. I wanted to go a little deeper than King of Porn. You guys did Forestville Rocks, right?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We did, exactly.
Musical exploration of Butch Willis.
Yes, and I somehow found that Butch Willis and the Rocks video separate from Heavy Metal Parking Lot, having no idea that you guys were involved with that at all. But I've been sharing that video for ages now, and I think that
Really,
that video is crazy. The throat guitar player guy and
I love you, man. I love you, Kenneth.
Yeah, that's great.
You're taking us into some other territory that it's fun to talk about things.
Well, yeah, and it's just remarkable. We have, you have a similar interest and something so obscure and out there that it's kind of remarkable that you stumbled onto both of these and then made the connection.
Yeah.
Butch Willis is a proto grunge rocker, outsider music. And we did it essentially around the same time as Heavy Metal Parking Lot, the year prior. That was one of our first attempts of collaborating on something together to create a fully envisioned, product. And it was actually kind of for marketing for Butch's sake, ultimately. But it was a studio concert featuring Butch Willis and his band, The Rocks. And done in a public access studio, and it really captured Butch in his element in his prime with his foot-high leopard skin boots,
yeah,
and his spandex, and
Well, also John, you know, well, yeah, we just got really into the whole thing. I mean, it was like we didn't know what we were getting into, but John and I were just completely just blown away, and you know, we became huge fans after what we were able to capture, fortunately, on film, on tape. In fact, I became Butch's manager for a brief period. And, you know, we were trying to get him more gigs, and I got him to open for the Butthole Surfers and when they came to D.C. But Mark Robinson deserves a lot of credit with the Teen Beat Records label, because he got very much involved with Butch and started putting more of Butch's music out, because Butch had 2 records that came out, and we did Forestville Rocks right at the time when the record Forthcomings came out, which is, I mean, all the music, in my opinion, and I'm sure John agrees, still stands up and holds up, and you like it, Kenneth, which is great. And the records, though, kind of came and went, more or less. But Mark Robinson then got involved, and his label, Teen Beat, started putting out more of Butch's music, and Butch became one of their, label mate. He was on the roster of talent, and in fact, Mark just did a documentary about Butch, and a lot of our footage is in it.
Awesome.
It's funny. I'm gonna lose track of all the links I need to send you. So somebody write these down.
Well, this one's called his film. There's a film out, a brand new film out, documentary exploration of the Butch Willis phenomenon by Mark Robinson, and it's called Amateurs on Plastic.
Yeah, Amateur on Plastic.
And Mark released it late last year, or early this year. Also, in fact, it's in the festival circuit. In fact, I see he's taking it to Europe and showing it at least 3 screenings in Europe. I think starting this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
God, I wonder if he went to Pittsburgh.
And
if he went to Pittsburgh, I'm sad that I missed him. Oh man.
I know, John. Look up if he's played Pittsburgh.
Sure. Maybe,
since you're looking this up,
maybe Kenneth can check it out. I think he. Well, I'm not sure, but nonetheless, it's kind of interesting. That's another one of our seminal works from the mid '80s that is has a resurgence in interest. Once again, Butch Willis in 2020, Heavy Metal Parking Lot continues into the 2020s. It's kind of remarkable, really.
Yeah, it really is.
There's some staying power to our documentaries. We had no idea what we were getting into back then. You know, like I said, we were in our early 20s at the time, and we were aspiring, documentary producers. We thought and we were also, this is the heyday of music videos also. So anything related to rock and roll music videos.
Yeah, we made the, John edited the video together, video TVs from Outer Space, from that Forestville Rocks. Actually made a music video to Butch's song TVs from Outer Space, and that's on our Heavy Metal Parking Lot DVD. I mean, the DVD's full of so much stuff. It's just choked with material, and because Heavy Metal Parking Lot's only 16 minutes long, so we just threw everything else onto that DVD. But yeah,
it kind of became a dissertation of all our work up to that point in time, which is
right.
Almost over nearly 20 years of collaboration at that point. By the time the DVD came out.
Fantastic. That's
yeah.
I'm gonna check that out. You said Mark Robinson, Amateur on Plastic.
Yeah, Amateur on Plastic. It's Teen Beat. The catalog. Teen Beat Records. Teen Beat. You'll find it instantly. I mean, this is where I wish I was taking note of all the topics. I'll remember, and we'll send you a bunch of links for things of stuff that and you can we'll send you down other rabbit holes to explore if you want. But it sounds like you've done a lot already, though. You've already done a lot.
I'm pretty consistently trying to get myself out of them. I always seem to find myself in some research rabbit hole.
That's funny. Yeah, that's what the internet will do.
Yeah.
Good grief.
So I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Is there anything that you want to promote? Like I know you guys got your websites and stuff. I'm sure you want to share your YouTube channels.
Oh God. Well, I mean, yeah, there's we made a film called Led Zeppelin Played Here about Led Zeppelin's first area concert and whether it happened or not 50 years ago. And but it's a documentary really about, more than, it's not really about Led Zeppelin. It's they're the hook, but it's about like the emergence of the concert industry and also just memory. And I mean, again, just like the anthropological notion, a lot of this is what other people have said about it. Because I mean, I find when you do a project documentary, you don't really even know where it's going to wind up. Some people do a lot of planning. I'm not one of them. But and John and I still, we have different projects we do separately and then come together when we can, and we're always joined at the hip over, the parking lot genre. And it's not, I mean, other people can do it and have done it, and it's certainly not anything we have a trademark on, but we're glad to be recognized as some form of progenitor for it.
And it's just been a great calling card for us, and it's just been a great to be involved with it over the years and just to be on the journey with it. It's been very exciting. We hope to take it, somewhere else to another level in this new decade. So we'll see where it leads us. All very exciting. And, heavy metal still rules,
Yeah.
All the way from Largo, Maryland.
That's fun, Kat. We're just grateful to be able to still talk about our work like this and to find new audiences and new, people interested. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad I could.
It's always good because it gets me to jog our memories. But it's always fun to go back and because we always come up with some good little tidbit, historical footnote or whatever, or just memory, to really solidify it and make it still really fun to talk about.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could bring up some esoteric stuff and go over Heavy Metal Parking Lot with you guys. Thanks for calling, and I will happily take a list of links. But if you lose that in the ether, I won't be too upset either.
Yeah. No, I won't lose anything. I'm already making a mental note. So, I mean, well, I might forget something, but I'll still figure out a way to bombard you with links and things. So thank you. And
thank you.
Really, thanks a lot, Kenneth.
Yeah.
And we'll keep in touch.
All right. Happy to talk to both of you, Jeff and John. Love your work, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
You too.
We'll enjoy the podcast.
All right. Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm going to publish it.
Yes, let us know.
Absolutely.
I'll subscribe. Make sure I'm subscribed. Yeah. Wonderful.
All right. Thank you, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
All right. Talk to you. Take care.
All right. That's it for the first episode of Good Art the Podcast in 2020. I hope you enjoyed that interview. I most certainly did. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.